Hey everybody, welcome back to another video with Clash Brothers. Wanted to upload another video again today because you can already tell in-game there are a few differences if you watched yesterday's video. First of all, clan games are up, always something exciting to do there, but if you'll notice this badge up in the top corner, I have pushed into Legends League. Not uncommon, I would say the majority of the past 8-9 months I've been pushing in Legends League. And really just this last couple of weeks for some various reasons, a little bit busy. I think we all hit those times. I fell out of Legends League, but today I wanted to go through just a few replays in my attack log to show you how in just a little bit over an hour, I went from about 4,800 trophies, climbed all the way into Legends. Uses the same army. We talked about a hybrid yesterday in yesterday's war recap video. This uses a very similar army, and it's a really good trophy pushing army if you're looking to get into Legends, and it's also pretty similar to the army that I use when I am in Legends. So we'll go into this first replay. We can see, starting off, we'll do some base identification for each of the triples and then show you one tweaked attack that we could do a little bit differently next time in order to get that triple. But you'll see in the army we've got 16 miners, 14 hogs, 5 healers for the queen charge, 2 cocoa loons for the baby dragon to funnel and for the healers, 2 wizards, and then 8 wall breakers. I talked a little bit yesterday about how super wall breakers are always better, but we're kind of saving those for CWL when that comes up in just a week or so. But mainly when you're crafting an army, especially with something like hybrid, you want as much power in the bulk of the army as possible. And so we want to see as many miners, as many hogs as we can get. But your army's not going to do anything, it doesn't matter how much power you put into it if they don't go to the right place. So you need to have appropriate funneling troops. This is a pretty versatile funneling option with the baby dragon with 2 wizards. If you know how to use them, you can funnel almost any attack. So we're looking at this. We always want to be mindful of the clan castles and then big value units, the eagle, the scatter shots, infernos, things like that. And when you begin with a queen charge, you always want to look at single target infernos. That can be maybe a challenge if you're not targeting it directly, and expos are always going to be a challenge as well. So if we look at this, you can see I start to go in from the bottom here. It's a pretty open compartment, and it looks like it's pretty easy to funnel off. And then once the queen gets into about this area, she'll be able to really focus down on a lot of value on the inside of the base. So drop both cocoa loons, drop my baby drag, drop a wizard. And notice I let my funneling troops work for a second. My queen's not down yet. I want to make sure that that funnel is set, and when defenses won't target your funneling troops, that's always what you want to do. I drop 1 wall breaker to test for any bombs. No bombs show up, and so I drop my queen and healers. And this attack's actually pretty funny. It's a good note. You always want to make sure your queen is taking some sort of damage before you drop your healers onto her, because if you don't, they might do this. I've lost my queen several times onto my king, onto other things, but this was one of the first times I lost my healers to some wall breakers. Ended up not being a big deal. I drop the rage so that she gets around to the Inferno Tower a little bit sooner, drop a freeze on top of that Inferno Tower, and as far as spells, I'm taking 3 heals for the army, 2 rages, 2 freezes, and a poison. All of those are being used for the queen charge. And so the troops come out, drop the poison pretty quickly. I had the rage going just to kind of speed things up a little bit. I honestly could have saved that rage. It helps, I guess, in this moment right here, but you can tell she's starting to go down, so I drop a second rage. There's a lot of DPS, 2 archer towers, and a scatter shot is going to be a lot in the first place, but then she was also dealing with the enemy clan castle. But since she's dealt with the clan castle troops, that's usually the green flag to start the funnel on the other side for your miners to go in the middle. I try and figure out what direction my queen's going in, and then drop my funnel opposite of that so that the hybrid can go along with the queen instead of the queen joining the hybrid, right at the start. A quick tip, if you're using a king and barracks to funnel your hybrid, which I do in almost all of these attacks, I drop my king to the outside so that as he walks, he'll get more value, and I drop my P.E.K.K.A. to the inside, because if the P.E.K.K.A. walks towards the hybrid and kind of meets up with them, that's okay. If the king does that, you end up wasting a lot of value, because the king pushes a lot harder than the P.E.K.K.A. will. I drop the warden down a little bit after the champion, drop the royal champ down after that, because the defenses are targeting the king and the P.E.K.K.A., and so it saves her for just a little while. drop my hybrid and my warden, and then you can see the queen is taking out the town hall, really just getting a lot of value out of that queen charge. Use one heal a little bit early, but I know the town hall and the scatter are going to start targeting the hybrid, and so it's not a terrible heal. You always want to use your warden over the town hall. In this case, the town hall was already down because of the queen, so you use it in the core, and that typically is where there's going to be the most DPS, whether the town hall is there or not. And then it's just a matter of being patient with your spells, dropping them over the bulk of your troops. And as we see this replay coming to a close, I don't even have to use the queen ability. The whole thing gets swagged through and just crush the base. Obviously not a maxed base. Those walls were pretty low level, and there are some design flaws that you can always argue with that as well. But we'll go ahead to the next replay now that we've already been over one. Hopefully it'll be a little bit quicker to go through. But this one, already looking at the base, some base identification. You can see the town hall is kind of set up as a bait. All 3 heroes and a single target inferno are close to it. The other infernos, one's upgrading, one is single target. And when you're pushing to legends, take advantage of those buildings that are upgrading. There's no reason not to. The scatters are both here on the top side, and the clan castle, important to note, can be lured on that far side. You don't want to queen charge into multiple expos, especially if she won't target them very quickly. You might be able to get away with it on this base, but there's really no reason to, with there being a ton of value on the opposite side. And so I start to do the attack in about the same way. I drop a Coco Loon there, my queen and my healers, and I am taking this attack, right at the town hall, right at the bait. I like hitting those bait bases, if you know how to queen charge really well, right at the bait, because if you can get away with it, you can get a lot of value out of it. And we'll go through it in just a second to see, what bases you can not do that for. Pushing, in this sense, you're in Titans League, there's not always going to be a clan castle. I dropped one hog on 9 o'clock, or on 3 o'clock. I think we might have missed that. And I was trying to lure the clan castle. See that there's nothing in the clan castle, so I use my poison for both the king and the queen here. Makes it really easy for my queen to push through. Drop all the wall breakers while they're under raged. And actually, I could have done a little bit better of a job with this. I destroy one wall, and it's just enough for my queen to go inside. Lucky enough for me. You got 2 freezes, so obviously you're using one of them for that single target inferno to save that queen ability as long as you can. You always want to save the queen ability, dropping the 2 wizards that you have to help funnel for the queen walk or to help clean up afterwards. In this case, both were used, or one was used to help funnel. And so she's just working away. Town hall is under construction, and so it's not even targeting her, and all of that is fine. So we let her work for a little while longer and drop my king and siege barracks here on the south side. And again, king is on the outside, P.E.K.K.A.'s on the inside there, so that the P.E.K.K.A. will meet up with the hybrid before the king will. I end up freezing because there are 2 sweepers on my healers there, and the warden really packs a punch on a queen walk. And so I used a freeze and the rage to get my queen through. And after the king has funneled a little bit there, after the P.E.K.K.A.'s targeted that gold storage, drop the whole hybrid into that corner of the base, and they'll go straight into the core. There's nowhere else that they're going to go. So we can kind of speed up a little bit, do a heal over the core. I didn't use my warden ability earlier because the troops were a little bit split and the warden was lagging behind. You never want to use your warden ability unless all your troops are inside of it. And so I used the heals first and then the warden ability, and then I've got 2 heals here for the back end. Because I didn't need to use the champ on the funneling side. Sometimes you'll have to, sometimes you won't. With large open spaces here that weren't contained by walls, you didn't have to. And so because I used the champ because I didn't have to use the champ to funnel, I was able to use the champ on the 9 o'clock side, 3 o'clock side. I keep messing that up. On the 3 o'clock side. And then it's just smooth sailing from there. And second attack in a row, don't have to use the queen ability. Just shows how strong hybrid is. It's very versatile. Sometimes you use the champ to funnel, sometimes you don't. You can use a Yeti bomb to start off if you are a little bit afraid of the value that you might or might not get from your queen walk. Just some different options for you. I'll go on to another replay here. A third triple in a row. This is on a really compact base, again, not maxed out, and you won't really find maxed out bases until you are all the way into Legends League. But it's the exact same army. It's on a very compact base. When the clan castle is in the center, it really doesn't matter where you queen walk from, as long as you're not exposing yourself to single target infernos, too much DPS, anything like that. Because the eagle is up top and so is the scatter, and I think that's a little bit higher value than, you know, the storages, multiple storages that are down here and the other scatter shot. I decide to go in from the top side. I drop the queen first, and I do this because the wall is so close to the edge of the base there that you can get right in, and it's super easy to wall break. You don't even need to funnel as far as getting rid of the buildings around you. You just drop one test wall breaker, and then the rest go in, and then the queen goes in. I want to save some of the funneling troops maybe for cleanup, or because, you know, all of these buildings would target funneling troops as you drop them. Want to save them until the queen can tank a little bit. I drop one rage, not because she's under, you know, a whole lot of threat, but because I want to get the wall breakers behind her raged up so that they can break down that wall. And at this point, it's all about patience. You just want to sit and let that queen walk develop. Her health is doing fine. She's taking out the major defenses as they're targeting her. There's really not going to be anything to worry about. I drop that one baby dragon to get rid of the army camp, then I drop a wizard to get rid of that other army camp just to make sure she's staying inside as opposed to, you know, potentially taking the long walk around. And lo and behold, she walks forward to take out the wizard tower, and then she'll walk all the way inside to the eagle. Drop the second rage because I know she's getting targeted by a scatter shot. She's about to be targeted by two, and there's a lot of high hit point buildings there, so I want to help speed up her as she's going through. And because all of the kind of 3 o'clock leaning side is taken out, I funnel on the opposite side. Actually this time nothing goes on the inside. All the funneling troops go on the outside, and that's fine. I drop the champion to funnel because there's no other way that these defenses would go down fast enough for the hybrid to stay inside. There's always a chance that they would walk on the outside, especially because the queen's doing a lot of work. You know, it always has the harm if the queen does too much to push the hybrid to the outside of the base. Drop the hybrid, drop the warden, and then at this point, you know, with such a good queen walk to get, you know, the inferno, the scatters, the town hall and everything, you can lead off with the warden ability because the hybrid's going straight into the core. Drop the heal, and you kind of want to drop it, you know, maybe a little bit earlier even than I did just then. It can cover up the warden ability by just a second, and that's okay. It's better than having them, you know, unshielded and unhealed and, you know, potentially going down to a lot of DPS. And then you just got to be patient with your spells. That third heal comes in as the hogs and as the miners meet up together in that one compartment, so virtually the entire army is getting healed. And then I think this is the third attack in a row that we swag the queen ability. Just shows how strong this attack is, especially in like Legends League, or especially in Titans League, you know, before you get to Legends, before those bases are maxed and the designs are good and they're being tested 8 times a day by great attackers. You can really you can climb so fast if you've got a good hybrid and a good queen walk and you know how to do it. On the defense, here we go. So going through those triples in a row, we're going to look at this 96%. We'll see where we went wrong, and maybe a quick tip that we could have if you look through the rest of the log. You know, we got 2 that didn't quite work out, and then we finished with 2 more triples, and that was enough to put us into Legends League. It's really just about doing it. We popped a training potion so that we wouldn't have to take any defenses during this time, and we got 200 trophies in, you know, just a little bit over an hour. But here we go with a 96%, so you can tell already that this base is pretty maxed. You know, there might be a couple buildings here and there. I think some of these archer towers are not maxed out. One's upgrading. But for the most part, this is a pretty maxed out base. It's a ring design, ring-ish. And yeah, some important things to note. You can tell most of the value is in the center compartments here, but the clan castle is close to the outside. The queen warden are also up here, and so there's a lot of value up top. If you attack from the top, it leaves the eagle for the back end, but sometimes you got to do what you got to do. And here we go. And so already we can tell a little bit of an issue with planning this. If you're putting your queen in on a side instead of on a corner, it can be tough, especially with limited funneling troops. We've got 1 baby drag, 2 wizards in this sense. It can be pretty tough to get away with putting her in the side and having her actually walk in. You know, the buildings around corners are typically a little bit more condensed, and that'll pull the queen towards corners as opposed to, you know, letting her just walk smoothly in to the side of a base. But I put her in over here, and honestly, I think this is where the attack went wrong. It's just bad queen placement. I put her down, she targeted that army camp, and then, as we'll see in just a moment, she starts to walk over to this corner, and it's just not a lot of value that we're getting from her queen walk. As opposed to if I dropped her around here-ish, like right on the Dark Elixir drill, she would have hit that, she would have hit the barracks next to it, she would have hit the army camp, and then with all of the dead space, you know, she's standing on top of the army camp right now. If she hit it from max range closer to this Dark Elixir drill, you know, she would be so far away from all of these units that she'd be more likely to go inside. But I was trying to put her close to this wall so that as the wall breakers break it, she'd be more likely to go in. It was my 4th attack in a row, 5th attack in a row, something like it. And it's easy to just get a little bit lazy sometimes. And so I wasn't thinking too much about these buildings. And we'll see that she starts to walk. And isn't that always just the worst feeling? You got this attack strategy that you're trying to get good at, and it involves a queen walk, and your queen walks on you. I was also a little bit late. One thing that you can do is either rage earlier, which is what I would have had to do in that sense as she was going down to the champion, or because nothing else was targeting her, you can drop 1 freeze spell on the royal champion, and that's just as good. I wanted to save my freezes because I knew this single target Inferno, if she went where I wanted her to go, would probably be an issue. And I wanted to save the rages, you know, obviously, but kind of like we said earlier, it doesn't matter how much power you have, it doesn't matter how many rages that you save. If you mess up at the beginning, if you don't funnel well enough, if the beginning portion of your attack doesn't go according to plan, doesn't matter how much you saved for the middle or for the end. So we wasted her ability, and have this rage spell that really doesn't do a lot of good either, because, you know, she used her ability and got through all of the damages anyway, so we kind of lose our cake in both senses. You know, we don't eat it, nor do we have it. And then she starts to walk on the outside. That air defense is targeting healers, and you can't have that for a queen walk that still needs to get value. We're lucky that she did decide to walk inside. I dropped that rage because I know the queen's going to be there, and she's going down really fast. You know, the warden's targeting her, this expo's targeting her, cannon's targeting her, and the enemy queen was targeting her. So I dropped a freeze while she was under rage. And she manages to take out the enemy queen, take out that expo, and she's going on towards the side of the base. And I can tell at this point that she is deciding to walk towards the 3 o'clock side. And that is all that I need to drop, you know, the rest of my funnel, to drop my hybrid. If your queen walk is going well, you want to let it develop as long as it can. If it's going poorly, you want to drop your hybrid as quickly as you can, because that way they'll start to soak up some of the defenses and perhaps keep your queen alive if you know, for whatever reason, like in this case, run out of resources. And so I'm looking to drop my king, my siege barracks, my champ, and my hybrid as quickly as I can. But ultimately, we need to figure out where the queen's going first. And so as soon as we figure out that she's deciding to walk towards 3 o'clock, we drop the king, drop the siege barracks, and drop the champion as well, because there are a lot of defenses here, and so the champ can really help to funnel, and we really need things to go into the core. And so we're not saving the champion like we did in one of our earlier attacks. And I want to wait until really this expo I'm confident will go down. And so I drop everything as that funnel looks like it's pretty well developed, and you can tell the champ ability knocks the expo down before the army even gets there. And so the army has nowhere to go but inside. We've lost our queen, but that's okay. We drop 1 heal because it's got a multi-inferno, 2 scatters. You know, the town hall's about to activate. So we drop that heal going in, and we drop an early warden ability because we really want to grab the town hall. And, you know, there's just so much splash defense over there. Drop a pretty early heal as well. That second heal might have been a little bit rushed. And then we've got this 3rd heal. Kind of need to figure where our army's going. We've got some hogs from the siege barracks down here on the south side, but most of the army goes here towards the 3 o'clock side, so that's where we choose to drop the heal. And then we've just got these high hit point buildings, these big storages in between some of the defenses. And if we go through, we can see it's just, just not quite enough. This cluster of defenses here in the end holds things up. And those miners go down, the champ goes down, and as close as this attack was, it just didn't quite hit it. We timed out. Arguably we might have been able to take care of it if we had the time, but we were unable to. And so the only tweak I'd really make to this is you just got to have a better queen walk, better value from it. If I didn't waste the rage up here at the beginning of the attack, might have gone a lot better. If I didn't waste her ability at the same time as I wasted that rage, it might have gone a little bit better. And if we're looking at 4%, everything matters. So both of those would have been probably the biggest things, but also if you noticed at the end, we didn't use the poison. I should have realized as soon as the queen got in here that there was no clan castle troops. And so I could have potentially used the poison on the enemy queen, maybe on some skeleton traps along the way. Ultimately went through the whole hit without using the poison, and perhaps that would have made the difference. But as you can tell, looking through the attack log, it's the same army composition every time. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 triples all in this past hour, and a few other high percent attacks as well here in the middle. So if you're looking to climb, hybrid is definitely the attack for you. Thanks for checking out this video today. As always, if you guys are looking for a clan, feel free to check out our Discord server below. And if you have any suggestions or ideas for future content, feel free to drop it in the comments.